Welcome to the Blogger Genius Podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blogger Genius Podcast. I am your host, Jillian Leslie, and I am also a serial entrepreneur, and I love helping you grow your business. Today, I have an emotional topic to talk about, and it is Pinterest. Oh, I can feel I'm starting to sweat. Anyway, I am interviewing Amy Ford, and she is a Pinterest strategist, and her marketing agency is called Bloom and Grow Media. And I really liked talking to Amy because she did calm me down. She did say that from what she is seeing, you can still get a fair amount of traffic from Pinterest if you know what you're doing. Now, before I launch into the interview, I want to say if you are interested in growing your Pinterest followers, which I recommend you do because it is a signal to the algorithm that your account matters, definitely get the MiloTree pop-up app on your site. It pops up and asks your site visitors, to follow you on Pinterest. You get your first 30 days free. It will not slow your site down. Head to MiloTree.com to try it out. And I think you will find this interview interesting because according to Amy, a lot of the strategies that, for example, we put in place for Catch My Party are still working for us. And I almost feel like I don't want to jinx it, but Amy explains why. So if you want a streamlined Pinterest strategy without spending hours and hours on Pinterest, you will really enjoy this episode. So without further delay, here is my interview with Amy Ford. Amy, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jillian. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so glad you reached out to me. I'm happy to be here.
Now, you are a Pinterest expert, Pinterest marketing. Would you share, and you do something very specific. You are a Pinterest marketer for photographers.
I am. I don't just work with photographers. I do have a slew of different types of creatives that I work with, but my ideal I love you client is going to be my photographer. I started working with a photographer 4 years ago when I started my business, and I just love it. You guys have these amazing visuals and you have amazing blog content, and you need to be on Pinterest. And me and my team, I have a team of like 2 or 3. I have a copywriter, a graphic designer, and my assistant that helps pin. And we can blog and we can pin, and it's kind of like an all-in-one kind of thing for photographers.
Got it. So if you're talking about like a wedding photographer, those kinds of photographers,
senior portraits, newborn, maternity, those kind of photographers. I have a branding photographer I work with as well that does really well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is so interesting. So before we press record, we both started sharing our frustrations with Pinterest. And I said, let's wait until we are recording. So I feel like we need to vent and get that out of the way so that we can then talk about what is working on Pinterest, where you can find success, what are some shortcuts, and really be helpful.
Yes. And I totally get your frustration. As someone that is in there 24/7, 5-7 days a week looking at accounts, it is not the platform it used to be before the pandemic. I don't know where the switch happened, somewhere in that mid 2020, where you could pin all these pins and drive all this massive traffic to your sites. And it's just not that platform anymore. It is still a search engine. People go to Pinterest to get inspired, find the next idea. I go there for recipes and DIYs. I also go there for business information. I need to know how to write a blog in 10 minutes. Somebody's got to have a checklist for that kind of thing, right? So that's where I go to look for things like that. But Pinterest it's not as user-friendly as it used to be. You can't just click a pin and go to someone's site and read a blog post or, get a product, you kind of have to go through the steps with these, what they call idea pins now,
Okay,
which
so
are like yes.
Right. Well, let's step back. So let's get into the shoes of Pinterest.
Okay.
So Pinterest started, and it was a search engine. It was a visual search engine. And
Yes.
their job in the beginning was to serve up other people's content and then send you to where you could go, say, get the recipe, get the DIY, get the checklist. And it was simple.
Yes. Very simple.
But the thing about it was Pinterest was sending you off the platform like Google does.
Right. Exactly. And that is still its main purpose. But Pinterest, when they went public, they are a business that makes money. They now want you to stay on the platform. So they've created these tools and things, these best practices they want you to do to stay on the platform. A, to show you more ads. 2, to stay there and engage with other people you follow. That's what, look at videos. The longer you're on the platform, they can read. It's that algorithm thing. So they can show you more of what you're stopping and pausing and clicking on and those kinds of things. So they want you to stay. That's their goal.
So it seems like this. It seems like Pinterest is chasing Instagram and Instagram is chasing TikTok. And Pinterest, I think, looked at Instagram, and Instagram makes it hard. I mean, they're making it a little bit easier now to click off of Instagram, but really Instagram is an immersive experience. You're on Instagram to stay on Instagram. Even when people could get the swipe up after 10,000 followers, people didn't really want to swipe up because they didn't want to be leaving Instagram. So Instagram created this world where it's sticky. And the thing with Pinterest, it wasn't meant to be a sticky platform. And I think now they've said, wait a second, we need a way to get people to create content on the platform. It's no longer I create content on my blog and pin it. It's now I need to be a creator on Pinterest so that I can pull people onto Pinterest. And as you say, they will stay and see more ads.
Yes. Yes. Like followers didn't used to be a thing on Pinterest. Everyone said for years, oh, don't worry about followers. Followers don't matter. But followers are important now because they're going to see your stuff in their feeds first. And they're going to see those little bubbles at the top. Like when you're on the app, not 85% of people are using the app for Pinterest. Me as a marketer, 99.9% of the time, I'm on a desktop. So there are more features on the app to help you create videos and use music and stickers. And actually you can link to products now if you use the app. As far as blog posts and things like that, you still cannot link those into an idea pin quite yet. Okay. I really feel like that is coming, but I feel like there's going to be some kind of money behind it. Like if you're going to pay for an idea pin to get a link, that's where this is going. That's kind of, I don't have confirmed information on that. I don't know that for sure, but in my gut, I feel like that's where things are going.
So you don't have a bat phone where you can pick up the phone and just call directly to Pinterest to find out what they're doing. Now, here is the thing for me that is frustrating. So Pinterest still drives Catch My Party. That's our first blog that's doing well. It drives us a ton of traffic. And we typically, by the way, are still just pinning static pins. But we have had to make this cost benefit decision of, is it worth it for us to be spending our time creating idea pins with the intention? So your idea pin is living on the platform, giving people quote unquote ideas. And it will lead you back to your page on Pinterest to follow you. But then it becomes this circuitous route of, I see this idea pin. I can kind of interact with the idea pin, but it's not going to like lead me to say the recipe or the DIY. Then I can get to my account. Then somehow, like we were talking about this earlier, you've got to then find the right pin to click over to maybe find the recipe or the DIY. So could you explain like what that looks like?
Okay. Now I am a true believer that static pins are still a thing, especially with my photographers. Now there are a lot of video idea pins with photographers on there, but we get the traffic with the static pins. The trick with the static pin is the consistent content. If you are blogging weekly, if you are blogging 2 to 3 times a week, which some photographers do, I have a photographer that blogs 3 times a week. So we have constant fresh content always going on the platform. Her account is phenomenal. But as a content creator, it's exhausting. And who has all that time, right? So
wait, all that time to be creating content on your blog
content
or pinning onto Pinterest?
Yes.
Or both?
Now, creating all the content for your blog.
Okay.
Because getting it to Pinterest is pretty easy. It's like clicking a button and putting it on there. Right. It's the creating of the content that takes so much time.
Got it.
So it's very frustrating as a user that you can't find anything. I think if you haven't started with idea pins, I don't know if I want to say you need to start doing it. I know I was like the devil's advocate on that. It's like, I feel like if you're going to start it, and then it's going to decrease your static pin, your organic reach at that point. Does that make sense?
No, say that. Explain that.
If you're not using idea pins now,
right?
You're just pinning the static original content.
Yes.
I feel like if you try to start with idea pins, that's going to decrease your reach on those other pins that you have up
You've
there.
Seen that?
I've seen that. I've seen it. And I may get a lot of flack for saying that, but because I know there are some that are like, oh, it doesn't matter, just one idea pin a week. But I really feel like it does decrease your reach with the other content that you're putting on Pinterest because they prefer those idea pins.
Now, what about video pins? Because so it was initially static pins, and then they went to video pins, and then it was like add video pins because they could link. Let's see. I'm trying to.
You had to look for it.
In chronology, you had to look for
double click it.
Yes, it was harder to click over with the video pin.
Yes, and I'm not seeing the engagement and the reach on video pins, like they used to a couple of years ago when they first were pushing. Let's make more video. Let's because that's where everything is going. Everything is going to video. So. Yeah, I personally, on accounts that I manage, and I don't have huge accounts. I have small businesses. I have small bloggers. It is still the top social traffic driver compared to Instagram and compared to Facebook. Right under Google, Pinterest is right there driving that traffic. Is it 1 million clicks a month? Oh, heck no. No, let's be honest, it's not. But it is still their top social traffic driver.
Yes.
And the thing with it, but the stuff is evergreen and it's always going to be there, and it's taking longer to get that traffic. So that pin you pin today from your blog may not start seeing that traffic for 6, 9, 12 months from now.
Wow.
I'm seeing pins recirculate from 2 years ago that are our top traffic driving pins. Our most engaged pins are the older pins. So it's there. All this fresh stuff that you're putting now is going to pay off in the long run. So you've got to shift your mindset. Like, okay, it used to be 3 to 6 months that things would take off on Pinterest. I really feel like it's going to be longer just because you've got to get that into the algorithm and all the search terms and things people are looking for. I feel like the older content is doing better than the fresh content.
Here's just a hypothesis. Do you think, because as a user of Pinterest, I go to Pinterest and let's say I go on the app and I'm seeing all these idea pins, but I can't get to the content in the way I'm used to. Like I click over and I get to the recipe, that is why the old stuff is actually performing, because that's what I want as a user.
Right.
So they're saying you want all these idea pins. And I'm going, no, I don't want these idea pins. If I want to look at pretty food, I could go to Instagram. Like I've already got that covered. I want a recipe. I don't want 5 steps. on how to make the recipe, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to have my phone out there while I'm going through the idea pin? And then I'm cooking. No, personally, I'm old school. I take that recipe, I print it out.
Yes. Yeah.
And
I pull them up on my iPad and I don't turn my screen off. I shut off that screen close after 30 seconds so I can see the recipe as I'm cooking. Right. So it's there.
So
yes.
am I going to be cooking alongside an idea pin? I'm not.
Probably not. No.
Therefore,
and I don't think anybody is. And that's what's so frustrating for the user. Like I said, we talked about this before. My daughter-in-law and I have this conversation all the time. She's like, I can't find anything on Pinterest anymore because I can't go anywhere. And it is a very frustrating user experience. And you see it in like Facebook groups and blogging groups and things like that. And I see people's frustration. And like you said, I don't have a bat phone to call Pinterest and say, hey, we're out here and we are frustrated. Can you please give us an option to make this better? We understand you want to grow your business and make money and run ads and be cool and hip like all these other platforms, but you still have the old school girls that just want a recipe. Yeah. Right?
Do you see people who are all in on idea pins, creating idea pins because they want to be a Pinterest influencer?
There is that side to the platform now. Last year, when they had their big Pinterest Creators Festival, there is that space where if you are on the platform to be an influencer and work with brands, there's a space for you there.
So you don't have a blog, or if you do, that's not where you're focused. You are focused now on Pinterest.
Yes, there is an option to work with brands and get paid by using idea pins. I haven't worked with a client in that situation yet, so I can't really speak to how that works. But I do know that even if like digital products, if you are working with a brand or a digital product or a lipstick company or a skincare company, and you create videos on Pinterest, those idea pins, and you link to their products, I'm assuming that's like some brand work there. So, there is a place for money to be made on Pinterest with these idea pins, but they're not, again, still not leading to a blog. This is not your typical blogger person, but there is that influencer space and there's a lot of them.
Okay.
If you search around and you look now, they have like Pinterest Live. You've got your influencers there creating content. You have Pinterest TV, which is new, which if you go on the app, there's a little like TV icon up there in that left-hand corner. And it's like shows that were made, they were made, craft, food, fashion, DIY, and they're the top influencer people making Pinterest TV shows.
Wow.
As well.
To be honest, I haven't even looked at it.
I don't ever hit that button.
Wow.
Yeah, because I don't go to Pinterest to scroll. I mean, I go to Pinterest to find something. That's what I do. And I feel like 85% of America or the world probably goes to Pinterest to find something.
I wanted to take a short break to just talk a little bit more about the MiloTree pop-up app. Not only will it grow your followers on Pinterest, but there is also a pop-up to grow your followers on TikTok, one for Instagram, one for YouTube, Facebook, and your email list. You customize it however you want, and it is effective. If you have traffic to your blog or website, I promise you it will convert them into followers and subscribers. Go get yours at milotree.com and get your first 30 days free. And now back to the show. So talk to me about e-commerce, because I feel like Pinterest has abandoned bloggers because, again, not that they don't like bloggers, but they'd rather bloggers create content on Pinterest. They don't really want to send people off the platform. However, there's definitely a play for e-commerce brands. And I don't know, like, because we've been renovating our house, I'm looking at ideas, or I need lighting or things like that. And I end up on Pinterest, or I go to Pinterest to look, and it's all about shopping. So explain the shopping piece.
The shopping happened, I would say about 2 years ago. They brought out the shop tab on profiles. You can connect your shop, whether it's Shopify. They prefer Shopify. It is really difficult for Etsy to get traffic from Pinterest now, which we've seen in the last 6 months. They've also taken that feature away where you used to be able to claim your Etsy shop. You can no longer do that. They are starting to take that. That's one way of keeping you on the platform, is to stop claiming other apps.
So, okay. So wait, so before, if I have an Etsy shop, I can connect my Etsy shop to my Pinterest account under shopping.
Yes. It was not a shop tab, but you could, like, you can claim your website to your blog. You used to be able to connect your Etsy in your account, and you could see stats from Pinterest to Etsy. That kind of thing. It was like you could connect your Instagram or your YouTube and things like that. They're doing away with that option, and they really want you to create your own shop on Pinterest. So if you are an e-commerce person, they have this verified merchant program. You upload like a catalog of products. You will get a shop tab. People can click directly and shop from Pinterest to your website. That is one way to get some traffic, but you are still staying longer on the platform with these shopping products.
Is Pinterest getting a percentage of any of those sales? Like I know they've always talked about that. Like somehow that you could, have a cart on Pinterest and buy stuff, and it's like they get a percentage and they're making money from that. But you're saying no.
And if you're running an ad for a product, then that's how they're getting their money.
Got it.
So if you're selling products from Pinterest and they come to your site to buy, all that can be tracked. But no, I have not seen one penny taken out.
I know they've thought about it, tried to figure it out. Okay, so this is so interesting, Amy, because I would say the emotion that you and I are both experiencing is frustration. And I'm curious to see, I said to you before we pressed record, like, my confidence in Pinterest has dropped because I feel like they are serving their masters, but they have alienated a whole host of us. Now, maybe we're a small percentage and they're like, you know what, it's fine. Like, we don't need you. I don't know. But even as a user of Pinterest, I feel frustrated and I therefore don't go as often.
Right.
So it's like changed my behavior. We're building out this product that I've talked about a lot called MiloTree Easy Payments.
Yes.
And as we build it out, all we want to do is be aligned with the people using our product. So I am on calls daily where I am saying, hey, what are you struggling with? Like, how can I make this easier for you and have my platform be so easy for you to get paid for workshops, memberships, coaching, that kind of thing. So all I am spending my time doing is trying desperately to align.
Yes. And that's amazing. As a business owner, that's what you should do. You want to give your customer what they want, right?
And
are you saying Pinterest is not reaching out to the people that are really using the platform to give them what they want?
Right. And therefore I go, ooh, do I feel like if I owned Pinterest stock right now, would I feel good about it? And chances are I wouldn't, because I feel like they're serving different masters, and even just they're not necessarily serving me as a blogger, although we are just doing static pins, my friend, and we do still get a lot of traffic. But we've kind of said we don't have the bandwidth to be doing all this. It just feels like chuffa. It feels like other just stuff.
Well, the thing with the static pins is you don't need to be creating more than one a day. Let's just simplify life on Pinterest. We don't need to pin 10 to 20 pins a day like we used to a couple years ago. You don't have to pin other people's stuff. You can just pin yours, and one pin per day. So 30 pins a month, minimum. You're still consistent on the platform. You're still showing Pinterest that you have fresh, valuable content that people want to see. I mean, because honestly, humanly, who can create 10 fresh content pins a day? It's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. That's why you hire me.
So
that's
here's
a lot.
Here's my question for you. I totally get that. Here's my question for you. Is it still that thing that my Pinterest account, my boards matter, that I'm posting pins into multiple boards? Like where and what tools do I then need to pin one pin a day?
Right. To save time, I still say use a scheduler. Whether you want to use, like I use Tailwind for my clients because I can batch things out all at once. Once a week, I go in there, I'll fill up their queue, 2 to 3 pins a day. And, I'm good to go for the week. Or you can go into Pinterest and use their scheduler. It's a little clunky. It's not like Tailwind. You can't just pull pins in and schedule them. It's very, there's a system that, I've, 1 pin a day. You have
now,
to
is it one
upload.
pin now in multiple boards? Are you still pinning to multiple boards?
I do not.
You pin one pin to one board.
One pin to one board and maybe to a second board, like 2 or 3 months down the road.
Wow.
Yes.
And
so
go ahead, talk to me about this.
You're creating, all right, for example, one blog post. This is just my standard with my clients. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it's not. Every account is different. We will create 2 to 3 static pins and I will pin one pin image to one board. And then the next week, that different image, I'll put it to the same board because it has to relate. Like those keywords, they've got to line up again, right? So that's what's very important. You've got to pin it to the most relevant board first. So if you've got 3 different images, they're going to go to that most relevant board, but I space them out by like 7 to 10 days between different images.
But you will then, this has always been the thing at Pinterest, because in the beginning, remember, you could just spam the platform, repinning the same pins over and over again. And that was Board Booster. And it was like, and I get it. Pinterest was like, whoa, stop spamming our platform. This is not cool that people are seeing the same pins over and over again. But is there a time and a place when you do take that pin and you repin it?
If it's one of your top performing pins, recreate a new image for it and pin it again.
But don't repin that one image that has done so well for you.
I wouldn't pull it back into Tailwind with the same image description. That's considered a repin. Repins can really ding your account if you have too many of them.
Interesting.
So yes, I know it's, but that's where we get back to, let's simplify things, make 1 pin a day, and then spread out those images over a couple weeks. And if it does well in 3 months, pin it again. But bring it in as like it's like a new pin.
Like rename the image, or actually do a different collage.
I would create a different image.
You would.
They can visually see those images. And if it's the same exact image as before, you're going to get a decrease in reach. Okay.
Amy, this is so enlightening. Now, here's the thing I just want to tell people. If you are a food blogger right now, get onto TikTok, because there is an opportunity. Or if you are a crafter, if you are a kids activity blog, like there are opportunities. Now, as somebody who also like blogs about blogging and stuff like that, my audience isn't yet on TikTok, but food, crafting, fashion, kids stuff. There is an opportunity. There is a land grab. Get onto TikTok, because if you can get a post to go viral, people will click on your link and you can drive traffic. So that is what I would say. I would say, start figuring out TikTok, spend less time making idea pins on Pinterest, and take that, if time is our most precious resource, use that time to go figure out this new platform.
Right. Yeah. You've got to go what is going to work for your business. And, and mindset, like I said to my assistant, we had a conversation this morning. I said, Pinterest is a tool. It's a marketing tool. It's not the miracle answer it used to be that bloggers looked for 5 years ago. make some pins, put them up there. They're going to sit forever and they will bring that traffic later on. It's, if you sit and look at your stats every 30 days, you're going to drive yourself insane. It's that long game marketing strategy. It's still a search engine. People can still find you. But if you want your stuff to go viral, you need to be on one of those social platforms as opposed to a search engine. And you can totally repurpose those, but there are ways and tricks to do it too. Pinterest doesn't want the same exact thing that's somewhere else, right? So
okay, let's talk about static pins then, because what I will say, so I'm just going to summarize what I'm hearing you say. I am hearing you say there's a lot of extra stuff on Pinterest now, but if you focus on static pins and you are consistent, you can get traffic. It is probably definitely lower traffic than 5 years ago. Yes. But if you stay in there, you will get some traffic from this platform. So it's worth it. So it's worth it. And that you don't need to be taking that one pin and pinning it in 30 boards. And you don't want to be just repinning stuff. You really have to be intentional, making new pins for that blog post. But let's talk about how you optimize a static pin. What do you think makes a static pin successfose?
You've got to have an amazing image. You've got to have big, bold text. Those, what do they call them? The big fancy key, the trigger words like best and easy and top 10, things with numbers do very, very well on a static pin. But there are also technical things with a pin to be optimized as well. I'm a big behind the scenes with keywords and SEO. So your image file name, number one, is the most important. You can't have 1, 2, 3, 4 Pinterest JPEG. It has to be how to build a DIY fireplace.jpg. Like actually name your image what the content is about. And then you need to have that Pinterest title, again, keywords, but it has to make sense. You can't just shove 4 keywords together with a few commas. So you've got to have a good, strong title, again, with the trigger words and the keywords in it. And then a good description with a call to action. Pins with a call to action are going to get more clicks. People want to know what you want them to do. You can put a call to action like grab this freebie. You can put it on the image. That does really well as well, like a little picture of your freebie with an arrow, and you're telling them what you want them to do. So calls to action, we see about 80% more engagement on a pin that has a call to action.
On the pin.
And
in the description.
Because the tech part of Pinterest is going to read those words and correlate to, that description is important for keywords in search. So if people are looking for a freebie, like me, looking for a checklist for how to write a blog in 10 minutes, if you put that in your description and I search that term, that pin should pop up. And you also, you've got to have it lead to the correct URL. Don't lead them somewhere else or your homepage. That's just wasting time. And I just lost my train of thought. Alt text. Text is important. If you manually schedule your pins, you have the option to do alt text. Again, talk about what the pin is. And one of the most important things in optimizing that pin, again, is the board it's pinned to. The very first board that pin is pinned to has to be the most relevant, and make sure that your boards have descriptions that, again, another place to throw in some keywords and some sentences about what is on that board. We are also seeing board covers coming back because people are going to your profile, and if they want to find easy 30-minute dinner recipes, put up that way they don't have to go searching. They can go straight to that board, and it's got a cover photo on it now. They can click right to it and find your pin. Because people have to jump through some extra steps, you want to make it easier for them.
And these are people putting up their own board covers.
Yes. Like create a little square cover in Canva and put the board title on there. And then if they're looking for a 30-minute dinner recipe, that's what you name that board cover. And and the same thing when you put your board covers up on Pinterest, you have to optimize that as well. So URLs, titles, descriptions, alt text. Make sure everything is optimized in order to get found in search. Just throwing pins up to throw pins up to fill a schedule is not going to help you. It's just, you're wasting your time. Be intentional with what you're going to pin and make sure it's what your audience wants to see.
And hashtags have gone away.
Hashtags are gone.
Gone.
There are still out there. Please, if you're listening, please don't put hashtags on your pins. It's one way of the spammers to be able to steal your content. And I think that's why Pinterest took it down, because there was a lot of stolen pin issues. And there's no reason to have hashtag. They're not clickable. They don't function that way anymore. So no reason. It does no good anymore.
In your description, should you put your URL?
No. If it's not clickable, you're taking up space. And that's a space that you could put more keyworded content. So the URL, just leave it in the URL slot. And to go back to idea pins, and I know we're talking about static pins. I know some people say put the URL in that idea pin, but it's not clickable and people don't copy and paste. They're just
even if you did like a bit.ly / whatever, people are not going, I'm going to go type that in.
Right. No, bit.ly URLs on Pinterest in general are not best practice. And I don't even think they'll approve a pin with a bit.ly link in it. It has to be a legit URL.
Yep. Amy, I have to say that I asked you on the podcast because I have not done a Pinterest episode for a while. And I had a little bit of dread and anxiety, not because of you, but just because I feel like Pinterest, as I've shared, I feel like Pinterest has let me down. But having had this conversation, you've made me feel better, because you've said there's all this stuff, but you know what? Certain rules still apply. And if you do them intentionally and you don't get distracted by all these other things and all the things people are saying in Facebook groups, and you just stick to what works for you on Pinterest, which makes sense, you can have success. So I want you to know that I'm leaving this conversation in a very different place than when I started. I thought you were going to tell me, okay, you need to be doing this many idea pins, and then you need to be having them go back to your account page, and then you've got to do fancy stuff on there to get and you're saying, no.
Aren't you exhausted just talking about it?
Yes. Well, that was it. That was it. So you have calmed me down.
Good. I'm glad. It's easy. Pinterest can be easy. You just have to simplify it and bring it back to the basics. One pin a day. There's to one board.
That is amazing. So Amy, if people want to reach out to you, learn what you do, have questions, where should they go?
They can visit my site at bloomandgrowmedia.com.
Wait, say it again. Say it again slowly.
It is bloomandgrowmedia.com.
Okay.
And I am also on Instagram at amyford.pinterest.
Awesome.
They can reach me there. I have, they can check out my site. If you're a photographer, I would love to talk to you, because it's a one and done situation with us. We blog, we do images, we pin, you're good to go. You don't even have to touch it. So.
Wow. Well, I have to say, Amy, this has been a pleasure. You've made me feel better. So really, so thank you for that. And thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jillian. It's been great.
I hope you guys like this episode. For me, I found it very validating. We are not going to keep tweaking our Catch My Party Pinterest strategy. We are mostly pinning static pins that drive traffic to us, and we are happy with that. And I'm just keeping a close eye on how Pinterest continues to work for us. If you are liking the podcast, please head to iTunes or wherever you are listening to this podcast, and please give it 5 stars. I would be so grateful, and that way other people can find the show. And I will see you here again next week.